I had to stay in theater for 6 months,
Jeez.
operation all nights, for me to accept that environment. So it was an inducted environment, it's an induced environment for me to be what I do at for now.
What inspired you to come to Australia?
I am someone who believes in challenges, and that's how I found myself in Australia. The language was a problem. My disco dancing in the village, you know, those kind of stories,
Yeah.
really stories, herding cows in the village, going to the farm and doing that. Those are the stories I tell them. We started a welfare where this welfare is looking at taking care of our people in terms of sickness and bereavement back in Kenya. We do a lot of cultural events, which is more of you to feel home away from home. I would also want to advise my people that let us not only concentrate in being in healthcare and care industry. We are not only carers. We can be engineers, we can be IT experts, we can be in academia, we can be so many other things that we can be, and let us just scale the height.
Welcome to another episode of Inspire with Chebo. Health and community care work is one of the most sought after profession in the world. It is one of the largest employing and on-demand career in Australia because of its diversity. Workers, employees who are employed in this sector continue to face challenges ranging from increased workload, challenging working environment, and having to juggle work demands and family responsibilities, or personal responsibilities if you like. Yet they show up every day without tiring to take care of the vulnerable people in their communities. These people, to me, they deserve a voice. They deserve recognition because they are the unsung heroes of our time. And today with me is a seasoned theatre nurse, all the way from the slopes of Mount Elgon to the theatres of Australian hospitals. He will be sharing with us his story, his challenges, the highs and the lows of being a nurse and a clinical officer in Kenya. Mr. Ruto does not only work as a nurse, he also gives to his community through a voluntary basis. He is the chairman of Taunet Nelil, a community group that is supporting Kenyans in southeast Melbourne. So, welcome Mr. Ruto, and let's get to it. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Inspire with Chebo, a channel that believes in lift stories. We believe that lift stories inspire, not only inspire confidence in people, but also build self-belief and positive community change. Now, with me is a very experienced person and also a community leader. He's going to introduce himself, and without more talking, welcome.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Thank you for inviting me on this channel, to your channel. My name is Ruto.
Yeah.
I come from Kenya. I was born and bred in the slopes of Mount Elgon in Kitale area, and I migrated to this country in 2007.
Good.
Australia.
Now, tell us about what was your journey like? Were you a nurse when you came from Kenya to Australia? What was it like?
Well, I came here when I was already qualified as a clinical officer anesthetist back in Kenya. I did my training as a clinical officer and proceeded into specialize in anesthesia. And I'd worked between 2004 to 2007 before joining to Australia and start my career or training in nursing.
Now you said you're not a nurse before you came.
Yes.
What inspired you to be a nurse?
I became a nurse by circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean by that? It was very difficult to get courses back in Kenya. I actually wanted to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. I thought that I had gifting in teaching.
What did you want to teach?
Well, I wanted to teach mathematics and it was basically sciences. That's what I wanted to teach back. But because of opportunity back then and support from my relatives, I was made to train as a clinical officer. And it took me a bit of time to adjust to become a clinical officer. I had to stay in theater for 6 months,
Jeez.
operation all nights, for me to accept that environment. So it was an inducted environment, it's an induced environment for me to be what I do at for now. So what I did was, after my first semester, I realized that that environment was very, very scary for me and very challenging for me. So what I did was I spoke to the theatre management in Kenyatta National Hospital, and they allowed me to be going to observe operations from 8 o'clock to midnight.
Wow.
And I did that for 6 months for me to accept to be in that environment. Because what I realized is, every time I went to the clinical areas, like the emergency department or any other, when I see blood, I could faint and I would find myself on the floor. So I had to do that, go and see the blood every time for
Wow.
me to be able to be in that environment.
Wow. Now, what inspired you to come to Australia, Mr. Ruto?
Well, I am someone who believes in challenges. I had met an Australian who was doing a medical camp in Kenya and talked to me into coming to Australia. And I also had relatives in Sydney who I spoke to them, and that made me to make my way here. But the great inspiration was this nurse who was working with me in the camp. And he actually said to me, oh, you've got very good clinical skills. And what you do here, you need to come to Australia and try out this. I said, yeah, why not? And that's how I found myself in Australia.
I always talk about networking. When you connect with people, you don't know where they'll take you in the end. I can see now it's evidenced by you. Now, tell us about being in Australia, like being a nurse in Australia. How has it been like with you, like becoming a theatre nurse in Australia? Give us example like registration with AFRA, what are challenges and stuff like that?
Personally, working in theatre to me was not a big problem because that's what I had fashioned myself from back in Kenya to work in theatre. So coming in Australia, I had to train as a nurse because I had to start my training afresh as a certificate enrolled nurse, which took me around 1 year by then. When I came here, I did my certificate for nursing. Once I qualified, I actually got my job before even I qualified.
You must have been genius.
Not really, because I am a proactive fella.
Yep.
So when I was doing my last clinical placement at Southeastern Private Hospital, I know where to strike. So I saw this an opportunity for me, and I spoke to the manager. Look, I have got this background. Can I come in and start? Oh, I was slated for interview. Actually, like 2 months to my finishing my studies.
Yeah.
And I got a job before I even started for my final exam.
Wow, that's really good. Okay.
And so you're asking me about registration. So from there, I actually started working in the hospital without the registration. Because my manager was very inspired by the way I was, the depth of knowledge and my enthusiasm in work.
Yeah.
So I actually went to work without before. I had to be stopped after 1 month without registration.
Because you're already gone ahead and started
I had already working.
I like your gusto. I like your inspiration. I like your hard work, you know?
Yes.
Now, I know you said you came from Kenya to Australia, and I know you just can't enter into a plane and back. What did it involve when it came to visa and stuff like that?
Well, back in Kenya, actually, given my background and everything, visa issues became a challenge.
Yeah.
Had I got good financial backing and visa, I would have been here maybe 20 or 5, somewhere like that. But because didn't have a bank statement to get, and I had to rely on relatives who had to sell property to fund their children overseas for them to give me the bank statement. But for funds to come here, I really want to thank Abigail, my wife. She really worked hand in hand with me in a big way, and I actually say, I did not for her, hand in this, probably wouldn't be in Australia, because we did a lot of farming back in the slopes of Mount Elgon with them, and we remember we had to sleep in the farm trying to get, and also thank my brother Jonathan. Abigail and Jonathan actually were the backbone on which they supported us financially to be in this country.
And I always say family is the backbone and the support that we have. Did you just apply for work in Australia and came, or did you come as a student?
Oh, yes. So, first of all, by then, the information was very limited by then.
Yeah.
So I knew because my cousins who were in Sydney, first of all, my friend who was here said you could come to work in Australia, but he didn't know that I was not qualified nurse. So I had to work my way around to come here as a student, because I had my cousin in Sydney say, oh, you could apply to come with anything, you'll find work. So I applied as a nurse, not actually as a nurse. I actually applied as a laboratory technician.
Yeah.
And I trained for 6 months, and I worked with Griebel's pathology,
Wow.
currently called Clinical Labs. I worked for 6 months. And again, I got my job before qualification.
You're tough. I like that. Now, looking at Australia at that time, what were you what were you thinking? Like, what was your first impression when you came to Australia, and how is it now?
Well, I think I was living in the fantasy world, thinking before I came here. I was just imagining of, things that you see in the movies. You see things like you see like in the TV, very nice scenes, green environment, all sort of things. But I was looking at this country like things will be easy for me, and I had all this. At times some other things were not very clear, but I was just imagining a very beautiful country. Things are easy for me, and that's how I landed this kind. That was the imagination I had. I actually didn't worry about the obstacles. I worried about how can I make it, because I'm a believer of a spirit of us. I use this principle that is a stranger in a forest jungle.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So did you find, is it what you thought about, or how is it now?
Well, if I compare when I came and now, this is a big contrast. It is not what I thought before, because for me, I was taking it day by day, and I said, like, as long as I can survive the next minute, I'm happy to take on whatever comes my way.
Good on you, mate. So can you share with us a memorable moment at work?
Here in Australia?
Yes, in Australia.
Well, memorable in a good way or in a bad way?
Something memorable is something good, definitely.
Well, let me say it might be not good, but it also taught me a lesson. And I've changed my practice. So way back 2000 and not way actually early 2010, I was working in theater, and it's memorable because of the long hours that I worked. So I started work at 7 o'clock, worked all the way to 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And I was really, really tired.
Oh, man.
And I was supposed to start work the following day at 12 o'clock. So, but I had an appointment at 9 o'clock. So 4 o'clock, 9 o'clock in an appointment, and then I was supposed to report work at 12 o'clock. So I can't forget that day because I was sleepy throughout the day. Like I would actually literally sleep while working. And I didn't want to show my employer that I'm weak, because I've always fashioned myself as a strong person. And I was very, really lethargic. So I remember I left, I even told my colleague, I'm going home. And the operation was still going on.
Jeez.
Because I was like,
was that a requirement for your work to stay that hours, or it was by choice?
It is not by choice, but remember, I'm still new to the country. I don't know when to say no. So I have to keep on going.
So you kept on saying, give me the shift, give me the shift.
And no, so the length of the operation from 7 o'clock, 7 in the morning, 12 hours, and then go all the way to 4 in the morning. So you're almost like when you say, so 7 is like I worked for 20 hours.
Jeez.
Express.
Wow. What has been your biggest challenge?
One of my biggest challenge coming to Australia here, in my work environment. Are you talking about the work environment?
Both, any.
All right. My biggest challenge was I think it was more of a cultural, whereby the language was a problem. Can I be honest with you?
Yes.
Even today,
Yes.
I still haven't changed from the Swahili time to the English time. So if you ask me what is the time now, I know in English you'll say it is around some minutes to 3 o'clock, right? But I'll still say it is 9. And
How come?
And I'll still say even today.
Is it influenced by your mother tongue or mother language or Swahili, or how come?
It's part of me that has never left me. The village has never left me, or the Africans have never left me. Even being here for 18 years, even today. So that's why it's been one of my challenges. The other thing which is more professional and which actually made me, in theater, what I do at the moment, I only do anesthetics and recovery.
Yeah.
I don't do the scrapping for the surgeon. The reason being, not that I'm actually very good with my hands, and I would really suit to do that. Back home, I was very good with that.
Yeah.
But because of the accent,
Yeah.
the way the decoding and encoding of the messaging, so every time I have got problem, I have to ask. And surgeons could mumble with a mask on. I said, not for me, this. And that has been my biggest challenge at my workplace.
So how did you adapt to that challenge? How did you adapt to that? Because you told me that because of the accents, of course, the Australian accent, I believe, it's still difficult for you
Yes.
to surmount and stuff like that. So how did you adapt to that so that you're still a nurse, you never left it, you're still in theater.
Yes.
How did you adapt to that then?
While people spoke about movies, you watch these movies and that and that. Coming from the slopes of Mount Elgon, we only used to tell stories. So what I had a hard time trying to adjust when people say, oh, did you watch this movie? Did you watch this and that and that? So instead of ending up saying yes, yes, yes to please the other person, I said, this one has to stop because I'm lying and I felt the guilt that I'm saying somebody, yes, 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 I stopped that. What did I do? I told them my village stories.
Good
and
on
they
you.
liked my
Good
village
on
story.
you. Yeah.
I say how I went on hunting, my disco dancing in the village. You know, those kind of stories,
Yeah.
really stories, herding cows in the village, going to the farm and doing that. Those are the stories I tell them.
Do you know stories are very captivating?
Yes,
Stories people can remember for a long time.
absolutely.
Because even at work sometimes I say things. Of course, I'm a very proud African woman. And I always tell them about Africa and everybody just could listen
Yes.
and listen to me.
Yes.
That's so good on you, man. Now, I know nursing is very demanding.
Yes,
Healthcare and community care work is very demanding.
yes.
How do you go about achieving work-life balance?
When I'm really feeling like I'm overwhelmed, I will take time off. The work I take and just relax.
Yeah.
So to give a bit of my balance. Or during my holiday, I probably go back to Africa, see family back here and here and there. And and I'm always maybe using an extra mile to catch up with the community. And what I normally do is I can take 1 week off and just hang and just stay in solitude.
Yeah.
And half time when the kids are around or Abigail is around, my wife is around here, they spend that little time with her. Just a bit of that. I don't play in a sport, so we just maybe go walking around, drive around here. That's what those are things that I do as a person.
Yeah.
Just to have work-life balance.
That's good. Because the reason why I'm asking this question is some of us, we struggle with that, balancing work and family responsibilities and community expectations like you as a community leader. And also work-life balance is not like dividing your time 50-50 between family. It's like matching the two of them. Yeah. Like making sure that both of them, like having both worlds, you know. So thank you for that. Now, I just wanted to ask, have you connected with other nursing groups? I'm asking this for somebody who is out there and would like to have some connection with support groups like nursing and things like that. Are there things like that outside there?
Oh.
Just for support. Because when you are connected to a group, you always get to interact with other people and benefit from their knowledge and even support when you're feeling down and things like that.
Well, I could just say maybe from my workplace, we have a group of all generation people worked there since from mid-2010s all the way to late 19s. We still have that group and we shall meet for Christmas every time. At times we go for, if someone has a party or have some function, we always rock up and support each other. So that's what I normally do. That's I'm a social group outside, which is more professional, but a social group. Other than that, I don't attend any, we got any professional workshops. We don't, but that time is too limited for me to do that. I know they are there, but I've not connected to them.
So even with that support group that you have, do you find any benefit in a way?
Yes, we do a lot because the benefit of that is, when you're only working, knowing each other at work, there's always building tensions between the two, them among yourselves. But we realize that when we have outside work, maybe for dinner or that, whenever we become more friendly at work as opposed to if we're only meeting at work. And I found that one really worked well for me because those people who used to, for example, they have not known me. I'm a very good currently maybe I'm not cooking, but I used to be a very good chef. I cook very nicely. And every time I went there, in fact, they used to be very skeptical about me and everything around me.
Yeah.
But when I went to their grouping, I cook for them, I take them food from what I eat, and they tasted, oh, yummy, yummy, yummy. So every time they want to be more, they want to know about me.
Yeah.
And that now diffuse the tension or that misunderstanding at work, so they would understand me more than what they were before if we didn't have this social grouping.
Good job. Now, looking ahead, at your future, what goals do you have as a nurse?
Well, to be very honest, I might have a community goal, but what I'm just envisaging maybe for us, for trying to match the community work and the kind of work I do professionally. What I'm looking forward to is, the way we got healthcare system that cater for specific groups. In Australia here, you got the Filipinos, the Italians.
Yeah.
That's what actually what I'm thinking about. That should be what I retire to oversee, or the healthcare, like got aged care for such a specific groupings, and a cult group. Me coming from a cult group. I feel that that's where I need to do, and more so the community I come from.
Yeah.
We still have a very young community. We don't have many people maybe in the 70s and all sort of things. But I'm thinking myself, I need to build a foundation of that demographic by then, so that we will be able to build a system that's supported by the government, and so that people are looked after. And so I've started thinking about what can I do is to ensure that we have services which are African tailored or Kenyan tailored.
Oh, good. That's nice. Now, I know you are a leader of Taunet Nelil, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that and how it's serving the community.
I've been in the community for a good period of time, but not heavily involved. And every time I was in the Kenya community, Victoria community, I would see other communities, the way they participated. So one of the things was, we were in a big of a funeral that was attended by many Kenyans here, and in that in that community, in that function or that funeral service, I realized that the people who come from where I come from, which is the Rift Valley of the Kalenjins, were not actually in that. And I asked one of my friends who are with me, I don't want to mention the name on this interview, I asked him, why are people not coming to that kind of thing? So I said to myself, I'm going to go out there and look for them. So I formed a group called Taunet Nelil. This is just a hunting tool to go and hunt them, so that I can bring them to the community. So that's how I started Taunet Nelil.
So how is it serving the community? How if today I want to be a member of Taunet Nelil, what benefits do I get from it?
Well, one thing that we have now matured and we are where we are, first of all, we have created Taunet Nelil, and it's a very visible and non-networked community organization. So I think if you want to bring your benefit, first of all, is that you use on our platform. There have got so many people who have come to Taunet Nelil, they have started business because of that visibility. Because we do a lot of marketing, our platforms are also, and when we have maybe function like that, you have an opportunity to meet network you to many people. So I will tell you, welcome to Taunet Nelil, where we create a platform for you to network. We also try to teach the community, bring back the culture to here. So people who have been here for a long time, it's an opportunity for you to learn your culture. We do a lot of cultural events, which is more of you to feel home away from home.
Yeah.
So if you want to feel home away from home, welcome to Taunet Nelil. So Taunet Nelil has really created that environment. And finally, because of being far away from Kenya and all sort of things, we've started a welfare where this welfare is looking at taking care of our people in terms of sickness and bereavement back in Kenya.
That's great. What advice would you give to another nurse or somebody who is a nurse who is looking at this interview and wanting to know more about nursing? What final words could you tell them?
Nursing is a very wide field. Nursing has got so many opportunities for you. And let us not just go in one corner. Many people come here and say, oh, I want to do mental health, and everyone's going to mental health, or most of them go to educare and they swing to healthcare. But there are so many opportunities, either at academia level, at other specialties. You got so many specialties. I specialize in anesthetic recovery. There's still scrub, there's still ICU nursing, there's still renal nursing, there's still pediatric nursing. There are so many wide, if you want to go to academia, even research, you can go into, you can actually medical legal nursing, whereby you can go and represent people in courts and all sort of things. The wide. So I would just advise my people, please let us not limit ourselves to mental health and educare, because we are not only tired to do that. And disability. Yes.
That's good. Thank you so much for that advice. Yeah, I always am a champion of career development,
Yes.
career growth,
Yes.
and it is possible.
Yeah.
You can grow from being a disability support worker to being a nurse like yourself now.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Now, I want to ask you, looking back then when you came to Australia,
Yes.
and now, what advice could you, if you were to talk to yourself at that time, what advice could you give yourself?
One of the things that I'll advise myself, first of all, the idea of this is more of a principle in life.
Yeah.
That the journey I've walked has taught me a lot. Decision making, very important. That do not delay making decisions. Why am I doing that? Why am I coming out with that principle? Because I would have become a permanent resident year 2007 had I made a decision. My biggest advice to my people, let us make quick decision, finish school. After we finish school, then we get to other life. There's a lot of maybe even professional development or even creating your own wealth portfolio if you want, you may say.
And
or
Australia is a rich country. There's
Absolutely.
a lot of opportunities. It's only you to get
and
to look for an opportunity, to look for that opportunity. Yeah.
And the other thing also is that I would also want to advise my people that let us not only concentrate in being in healthcare and care industry. We are not only carers. We can be engineers, we can be IT experts, we can be in academia, we can be so many other things that we can be, and let us just scale the height, because the environment here in Australia has been, I've actually not experienced difficult in trying to ascend to where I want, as long as you're capable. Just show that you're capable, nothing is impossible for you in this country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ruto, for that. And thank you so much for being in our, coming to our interview today and sharing your story, your inspiring story of many adults rising from a clinical officer to being a nurse.
Yes.
And also being a leader in your community. You are really inspirational, especially to me. Until next time, keep striving, keep growing, and keep continuing in your journey. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe, like, and share with that person who may need to hear a story of another nurse and how they manage challenges associated with the profession. You never know. A story can be another person's survival kit. And played sharpens played. I would like to hear your comments on this video. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. See you again in another episode of Inspire with Chebo.